Okay, in this video I'm going to show you my cameras and my lens lineup and their actual sizes in terms of what I actually use and what I've got. So first one, the first camera, Panasonic G7, fantastic camera, 16 megapixels, 4K 1080, can do up to about 7 frames a second. It's got panoramic function on the top. It's got creative features and all that stuff. Very light, around about 350, 370 pounds if you wanted to buy that. In pounds, UK money. My workhorse that I use is Panasonic GH4. Again, it's a 16 megapixel camera. This one is 4K 1080p, can do slow motion. It can do up to 96 frames a second, but without autofocus and without audio. It can also do fast motion, so you can slow down the frames a second. It does all the way down to like 2 frames a second. Very, very good. Lots of frames a second if you want to do photos, up to like 12 frames a second. Very good. Much heavier in weight, so the build quality is fantastic. This one is much lighter, much smaller battery as well. The battery on the GH4 is astonishing. It really is good. I wish they could put the GH4 battery in all the cameras that they've got. Okay, now onto the lenses. I'm just giving you an idea of the size that they are. So the first one I've got is the 12 to 32. So that's the equivalent, if you're talking about full frame cameras, that's the equivalent of 24, because it's with micro four thirds you times it by 2. 24 to 64, something like that. It's a variable aperture. We'll get a little bit closer so you can see it. Variable aperture, but at its widest, it's f3.5 at 12 millimeters. The next lens I've got, this one, is the 20mm f1.7. Now this is a tiny little lens, amazing. I've added on the lens hood, which kind of odd, even more odd, well, the 12 to 24 is even more odd. Very small lens, no image stabilization. So the 12 to 32, that's got image stabilization in the lens. This one has none, and the autofocus is quite noisy on this lens. And the next one I've got is the 25mm, also an f1.7. So that's only half a stop less than an f1.4. The 25mm has no optical image stabilization either. However, it does have fantastic autofocus. So if you're doing video, it's almost completely silent. So great little lens there. So equivalent of a 50mm. In terms of its depth of field, I think you times the aperture by 2 as well. So it'd be like the equivalent of an f2.8, something around about there. The next one, this is a fairly unusual. This is a Sigma, let's see, 60mm f2.8 silver. I got the silver one. I thought this was cool. This one, so f2.8 at 60mm. This is like an actual 60mm, so that's equivalent of 120mm focal length on a full frame camera. It sounds odd because when you lift it, it sounds like there's something broken inside, but when you turn it on, it suddenly stops. It's what they call a floating element inside. So it sounds like it's broken when you pick it up, but once you turn the power on in the camera, it's amazing, fast and silent autofocus. Really quite surprised about that. Next one in size we've got is the 14 to 42. Now this is a little bit cheating when I talk about it in size, because this is really all lens hood. So it's not that much bigger. So again, that one, this is a 14 to 42, so the equivalent of a 28 to 84. It's a variable aperture as well, so it's a f3.5 to 5.6. So it seems very similar to this tiny pancake lens here. The difference with this one, for example, the question is why we just use this one over this one when this one is smaller, lighter, and most importantly, silver. Let me just fold this one down. Can I do it with one hand? Hold on, just rest the camera there. So once this one is folded down for its travel size, the question might be, why would I choose this one, 14 to 42, which it clearly isn't as wide as the 12 to 32, over that? So this one's smaller when it's Down like that. The reason why you choose this one is it's got an actual focus ring, which can be very handy if you're doing any manual focus. And the autofocus in this one is quite good. Is it better? Was the autofocus better than that one? I can't remember. I think the autofocus was a little bit faster, but it has a manual focus ring, and I think it's just tiny and light. Yeah, it's not weather sealed. It's a plastic bottom, but that's not to worry about it. But yeah, it's a bit of an odd one to have them both. If you're not going to do any manual focusing, go with that one. If you're going to do manual focusing, go with that one. The 2mm difference, I notice it, and I usually go with the 12 to 32. In terms of optical performance, I can't really tell the difference. Now, just bring that back, so just so we've got it all in like size. Then the next one is the 7 to 14mm. Look at the size of the lens of that. So that at the top, it's quite big up there. 7 to 14mm, ultra wide angle lens, 14 to 24. This is a constant aperture, but it's a dark aperture. It's an f4. So the difference between an f4 and, for example, this one, an f1.7 is f4 to f2.8 to f2 to so 2.5 stops of brightness. So 6 times more bright would this lens be than this lens. And then my last camera is a Panasonic GX8. So this is the latest one. It's got in-camera image stabilization for photos, and it's a 20 megapixel camera as well. So that one is the kind of, it just looks cool and sexy. And I got the silver edition again, just because I like to have a little bit of colour in my life. That one was like gunmetal, which is quite cool. However, if we're looking at the size, if we're scrolling along, small. The reason why I go for Panasonic and then here's the reason why I go for the Micro Four Thirds, is if we go along, this is the Tamron. 15 to 30mm. So that was the ultra wide angle lens from Tamron, which is a huge lens. Let's not deny that. But if we look for, like, in terms of my kind of work, the same kind of lens to get it all in the camera, boom, there it is. It's huge. So yeah, I'm now much more a fan of the Micro Four Thirds system because they are all smaller, and especially when you compare it to the likes of the Tamron. So there you go. That is my current lineup. There you go.